It seems like everywhere you turn these days, everyone's talking about AI.
It's
Like, it's this big U.S. versus China battle,
yeah.
a tech showdown,
Uh-huh.
straight out of like a movie or
I
something.
know, right?
So today we're going to try to like go beyond the headlines,
Okay.
figure out what's really going on.
Sounds good.
We're going to deep dive into this topic.
All right.
And we found a really interesting podcast episode that's going to help us unpack it all.
Okay, cool.
It's called the AI Showdown, USA versus China, Who Will Lead the Future.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
It really lays out all the complexities of this race.
Yeah, because it's not just about like
Right.
one country being better at AI. It's so much more nuanced than that.
Absolutely.
Both the U.S. and China have,
Yeah.
like, they each have their own unique advantages and challenges.
For sure.
So it's not a simple,
Right.
A plus B equals C kind of comparison.
Totally.
Okay, so let's jump in.
Okay.
Let's look at the current landscape of, like, the AI world.
All right.
And, like, right off the bat, the U.S. just seems to be way ahead when it comes to private investment.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They put a massive, like, $67.2 billion into AI in 2023.
Yeah.
Compared to China's $7.8 billion.
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
It's massive. That's
Yeah.
like almost 10 times.
Yeah, and that investment's led to some pretty impressive results.
Okay.
The U.S. has developed a much larger number of those powerful machine learning models.
Okay.
You know, the algorithms that really drive AI applications.
Right.
They've produced 61 compared to China's 15.
Okay, so they're just way ahead in those, like...
At least when it comes to the sheer number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
But hold on. Because China's catching up really fast in other areas.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Like where?
Well, they're filing way more patents related to AI.
Interesting.
And they have tons of job openings for AI specialists.
Wow, so they're really building up a workforce.
Exactly, and there are new AI startups just popping up everywhere in China.
So they're...
It's really interesting to see.
Yeah, so even though the U.S. has all this money and all these big models, China's like building this really strong foundation.
That's right, and that's a crucial insight.
Okay.
China's focus on patents, it reveals a lot about their strategic direction.
Interesting.
They're heavily focused on things like facial recognition and surveillance technology.
Okay.
Which, aligns with their national priorities.
So it's very much aligned with like what they're doing as a country.
Exactly.
Got it.
It's like comparing a seasoned pro athlete to a rising star.
Okay.
The U.S. is established, but China's developing skills incredibly quickly.
Interesting.
And this difference in approach, it's even more evident when you look at the role of government in each country's AI strategy.
Yeah, because the U.S., it seems like they're kind of figuring it out as they go along.
It does seem that way, right?
Yeah, like under the Biden administration, there's this AI Bill of Rights.
Right.
Which is all about, like, setting ethical guidelines for AI.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's trying to address, like, the potential societal impacts.
Yeah.
But some argue that it could actually slow down progress.
Yeah, it's a tough balance to strike, for sure.
Yeah.
And it contrasts sharply with China's approach.
Okay, how so?
Well, they've fully embraced AI as a core part of their national strategy.
Okay.
It's woven into everything from university courses to research funding.
Wow, so it's very much like top-down centralized push versus the U.S., which is much more like...
More decentralized, private sector driven.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
So like, what does that actually mean for, someone like you listening right now?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it has implications for things like job opportunities, the types of AI applications that are being developed, and even the regulations surrounding AI.
So it's not just some like abstract competition.
No, it has real-world consequences.
Yeah.
For sure.
Someone working in tech, for example, might find more opportunities emerging in China.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Given their massive investment in AI talent development.
Exactly, and that's just one example of how these different approaches are shaping the AI landscape.
It's really interesting to see how those two approaches lay out.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about money, we've talked about government involvement, but you can't build AI without the right people and the right infrastructure.
That's true. You need massive computing power to train these sophisticated AI models.
Yeah, and it turns out the U.S. is running into a bit of a surprising problem there.
They are.
What is it?
The aging power grid in some parts of the U.S. is struggling to keep up.
Really?
Yeah, it's a bottleneck nobody really expected.
That's kind of ironic, this cutting-edge technology.
I know, right?
Being held back by something as basic as electricity.
Yeah, but it underlines how interconnected all of our systems really are.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it shows where China's strategic planning might give them an edge.
Okay.
They've invested heavily in supercomputers and cloud computing infrastructure, specifically for AI development.
Wow, so they're really like
Oh, yeah.
stockpiling computing power the way nations used to stockpile like coal and steel.
It's a great historical parallel.
Yeah.
And it really highlights China's focus on what they call technological independence.
Okay.
They want to be self-sufficient in AI, not reliant on Western companies.
Wow, that's a pretty bold goal.
It is.
But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
China's not just building up their own AI.
Yeah.
They're starting to share it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this startup DeepSeek just made a really bold move by open sourcing their AI model code.
That's a significant development.
Yeah.
It's a real departure from the traditional approach of many Western AI companies that treat their algorithms like these closely guarded secrets.
So instead of keeping their AI recipe locked away, they're basically saying, here's how we did it. Let's see what you can do with it.
Exactly. And that raises some really fascinating questions.
Like what?
Well, will this accelerate global AI innovation?
Okay.
Will it lead to more collaboration?
Yeah.
Or will it hand over a strategic advantage to others?
That's a good point.
It's like they've thrown open the doors to this massive AI party and invited everyone to join in.
I like that analogy.
It's definitely a development to watch closely because it could change the dynamics of the entire AI landscape.
For sure. Okay, so we've got government backing, we've got talent, we've got infrastructure, and now we've got these open source strategies all playing into this AI race.
Yeah.
What about the financial markets?
Oh, that's an interesting angle.
How are investors reacting to this whole U.S.-China AI showdown?
Well, one interesting signal has been the recent surge in Chinese tech stocks.
Oh, okay.
Companies like Alibaba and Tencent have seen a significant boost since mid-January.
Is that directly tied to their AI progress?
It's partly due to their AI advancements.
Okay.
But it's also because investors see the government's strong support and they recognize China's commitment to becoming a global AI leader.
So there's a lot of excitement around the potential there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, there's always risk involved, right?
Of course.
Some experts are warning about potential price wars as competition heats up.
Yeah.
And, regulatory changes could happen really suddenly in China.
Yeah, that's the reality of any rapidly developing market.
Right.
It's exciting, but also requires careful consideration.
So if you're thinking about investing in AI, it's a good reminder that things can change really quickly.
Very true.
And you need to stay informed and adaptable.
Absolutely. And it's also a reminder that this isn't just some abstract competition.
Right.
It has real-world implications for the global economy, technology, even geopolitics.
Speaking of geopolitics, there's been another interesting development recently.
Oh, what's that?
The U.S. and U.K. decided to pull out of this global declaration on AI.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this declaration was meant to be like a framework for responsible AI development.
Uh-huh.
So their withdrawal, it creates a bit of a leadership vacuum.
And it could be a chance for China to step in and push their own vision.
Exactly.
For global AI governance.
Remember their focus on strategic autonomy.
Right.
They want to reduce their reliance on the West and shape the global tech landscape according to their own interests.
So this could have a real impact on everyday people.
Absolutely.
The technology we use every day.
For sure.
Feels like we're on the brink of a big shift.
It's definitely a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
We could see a fracturing of the internet, different standards for data privacy, even the development of separate AI ecosystems.
Wow.
Imagine 2 different operating systems for the world.
That's kind of a scary thought.
It is a little bit, yeah.
So it's not just about who develops the most powerful AI, but who sets the rules and influences how it's used globally.
Precisely. And that brings us to a critical point.
Okay.
Even with all this competition, both the U.S. and China face some significant challenges in their AI development journeys.
Okay, let's dig into those challenges before we wrap up this first part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
What are some of the biggest hurdles for the U.S.?
Well, for starters, they need to address those infrastructure limitations, especially the energy constraints.
Right.
They also need to make sure that they don't fall behind in developing a skilled AI workforce.
Okay.
And finding the right balance between encouraging innovation and implementing ethical guidelines is a constant struggle.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot to juggle.
It is.
What about China? What are their biggest risks?
They need to be careful about relying too heavily on government control.
Okay.
Because it could stifle innovation in the private sector.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And there's always the risk of conflict with the West.
Right.
Which could lead to sanctions and further decoupling of their tech ecosystems.
So even though both countries are pushing really hard in AI, there are some significant risks.
Absolutely.
And potential pitfalls along the way.
It's a high-stakes game with a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this whole AI race so fascinating to watch.
It is fascinating.
Yeah.
We'll be back in part 2 to explore some more of these fascinating twists and turns in this global AI saga.
Can't wait.
But before we go, we want to leave you with something to ponder.
Okay, hit me with it.
So we've been talking about this AI race as like this head-to-head between the U.S. and China.
Right.
But is it really that simple?
It's a good question.
What about all the other players
Yeah.
on the global AI field?
You're absolutely right. AI is a global phenomenon. It's
Yeah.
not just about the U.S. and China.
For sure.
Countries like Canada, the UK, France, Japan, India,
Yeah.
they're all making significant strides in AI research and development.
And it seems like each country brings something unique to the table.
Absolutely.
It's not just about like
right.
one winner.
No, it's about how all these different players contribute to shaping the future of AI.
Exactly. Like take Canada, for example.
Okay.
They've been pioneers in the field of AI ethics.
That's true.
Which is becoming increasingly important as we grapple with the societal impact of these technologies.
Yeah, it's a huge issue.
Huge.
Sure.
And the UK,
yeah,
they have this long history of financial innovation.
They do.
Which has made them like a leader in fintech, basically using AI to revolutionize things like banking and investments.
Right. And the UK's got a really vibrant startup scene.
Oh, wow.
And a really supportive regulatory environment.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is a great combination for fostering innovation in AI.
So it seems like the global AI landscape is becoming a lot more diverse and a lot more interesting.
It really is.
It's not just about two superpowers anymore.
It's a truly global effort.
Yeah.
And that's what collaboration becomes so crucial.
Right.
Instead of the zero-sum mentality, we need to think about how to leverage the strengths of different nations to tackle these common challenges.
Because at the end of the day, the goal shouldn't be to just like dominate the AI field.
Right.
It should be to like harness its potential.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Right.
Whether it's addressing climate change, revolutionizing healthcare, creating new economic opportunities.
Right.
AI has the potential to make a real difference in the world.
And to make that happen, we need
cooperation, not just competition.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of access and collaboration, we should circle back to something we touched on earlier. That's the increasing accessibility of AI tools and technologies.
Right.
It's becoming more democratized.
It is.
You're talking about that whole open source trend, right?
Yes.
Where companies like DeepSeek are making their AI models publicly available.
That's a prime example.
Yeah.
AI is no longer just in the hands of big tech companies and governments.
Right.
Smaller businesses, researchers, even individuals can now access these powerful AI tools.
So what does that mean for the average person?
That's a great question.
What are the real-world implications of this increased accessibility?
It opens up a world of possibilities.
Okay.
Imagine a small business owner who can now use AI to personalize their marketing, manage their inventory, even develop new products.
Wow.
It really levels the playing field.
Yeah, for sure. Or like a researcher in a developing country who can now use open source AI models to address local challenges.
Exactly.
Like improving crop yields or predicting disease outbreaks.
It's incredible to think about all the potential for innovation coming from these unexpected places.
Yeah.
This accessibility, it could lead to a wave of new AI applications tailored to very specific needs.
So maybe the question of who will lead the future of AI isn't about like a single country or a single company, but about this global ecosystem of innovators, researchers, and entrepreneurs all working together.
It's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of staying informed and staying curious about AI.
Yeah.
And engaging in these conversations about its impact on society.
Because ultimately the future of AI isn't like predetermined.
Oh, we're creative.
It's something we're all actively shaping.
Yeah. Through our choices, our actions, our collective vision for the world we want to create.
I like that.
Well said. It's not just about technology. It's about humanity.
And on that note, we'll wrap up part 2 of this deep dive.
Okay.
But we've got one more segment coming up.
All right.
Where we'll explore some of the potential risks and challenges associated with this AI revolution.
Looking forward to it.
So stay tuned for part 3. All right, welcome back for the final part of our AI deep dive.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we have.
From the U.S.-China rivalry to the rise of open source AI.
Right.
But now it's time to face a little bit of a darker side of this AI revolution.
Okay, the potential downsides.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. AI has incredible potential, but it also comes with risks and challenges we can't ignore.
Yeah.
As we navigate this rapidly evolving landscape.
One of the biggest concerns you hear about is job displacement. Are those warnings about robots taking over our jobs just hype, or should we actually be worried?
Well, it's not just science fiction. AI is already automating certain tasks and roles.
Like what kind of tasks?
Well, jobs involving repetitive action, data entry, even some aspects of customer service are being impacted.
So those are kind of like the frontline jobs.
Right, the ones that are most susceptible to automation.
But I imagine that also means new jobs are being created.
Absolutely.
In the AI field itself.
Yes, we'll need people to design, develop, maintain, and even regulate these AI systems.
So the real question is like, will the people whose jobs are displaced have access to those new opportunities?
That's the key question. It's about making sure there are training programs and support systems in place.
Right.
To help people adapt to this changing job market.
Yeah, so it's really about upskilling and reskilling.
Exactly, and it's a shared responsibility for governments, educational institutions, and the private sector to ensure a smooth transition.
As AI kind of reshapes the workforce.
Right, it's not going to be easy, but it's essential.
So job displacement is a real concern. But it's not an inevitable catastrophe.
No.
If we manage it proactively.
Exactly, we have the power to shape the outcome.
Okay, so we've talked about jobs. What about, like, the potential downsides of AI beyond jobs?
Well, there are definitely broader societal implications to consider.
Okay, my God.
We need to be very mindful of how AI systems are developed and used. Especially when it comes to things like data privacy and security.
Yeah, because with AI processing so much information about us. It feels like there's a fine line between convenience and intrusion.
It's a valid concern, and it's why transparency and accountability are so important in AI development.
Yeah.
We need clear regulations and ethical frameworks in place to ensure AI is used responsibly and doesn't infringe on individual rights.
So it's kind of like trying to regulate AI without stifling innovation.
It is. It's a tightrope walk, but it's a conversation we need to have as a society.
For sure.
Policymakers, technologists, ethicists, and the public need to work together to shape the future of AI in a way that benefits everyone.
So it sounds like navigating this AI revolution is going to require a lot of
It will.
Careful thought and collaboration?
Absolutely. We need to be aware of the potential downsides and work actively to mitigate those risks while harnessing AI's power for good.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
But it's been really fascinating to explore all these different facets of the AI landscape with you.
I've enjoyed it.
We've covered so much.
Yeah.
From, those competitive dynamics between the U.S. and China to the rise of open source AI. The ethical challenges we need to address.
Absolutely. It's a complex and constantly evolving landscape.
If there's one key takeaway from all of this.
What's that?
It's that the future of AI is not something that's happening to us. It's something we're all actively shaping.
Through our choices, our actions, our collective vision for the world we want to create.
It's not predetermined.
No, we have agency.
We have the power to shape it.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this such an exciting time to be engaged in these conversations about the future of AI.
For sure.
It's a journey filled with both challenges and incredible possibilities.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed it, and we encourage you to keep exploring this fascinating and ever-evolving topic.
Keep learning, keep asking questions, stay engaged.
Thanks for listening.